Hello, and welcome to the Knit Girls. This is episode 443. I'm Laura, also known as Lala.
I am Leslie, also known as You Don't Call Me LS. Today is Friday the 14th of June, 2019.
There's a cheater thing on the bottom of the screen now, because the calendar on the MacBook is right there. You didn't even see it, never mind.
It's usually down here on the windows.
But it's over there on the Mac. Anyway, we're at my house. Leslie's computer has died a sad, sad death. We tried to record earlier in the week, and it just did not happen. But Michael's going to build her a new computer. So
yay, Patreon!
Thank you, Patreon! So hopefully we'll be back to our normal routine and our normal atmosphere sometime next week. On a related note, sorry guys that Pearl barked last week. She's a jerk.
Yeah, and just for those of you who are listening with earbuds in, there is a dog here. She might not bark. You may not even hear her, but she also might bark. So just
sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
We record in my large living area space, whereas at Leslie's we have like a dedicated studio
upstairs away from things,
with doors closed and a light that flashes that tells people that we're recording.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different here. Usually she's pretty good unless there's motorcycles, so we'll see. Or cars. We'll see. She's sleeping she's laying down at least. She's developed this habit of like laying down on the treadles of my spinning wheels. It's always the wheel that I want to use at that moment, you know, as you do. But she's pretty silly with that. So, getting right into it, would you like to go first, or would you like me to go first?
Why don't you go, because I have so little to talk about, we should sandwich me in.
Okay. I will definitely go first then. I'm working on my second of a toe-up Rose City roller. It's not the official pattern that I'm using, but I'm kind of stealing that idea. I'm actually using the Wendy Johnson Heel with a Gusset from the Toe Up, which is found in her first book, but also on her website, Wendy Knits. I like the fit of that one a little bit better for a toe-up sock. So I am using that. I'm going to get to the end of this row, and then I'm going to show you guys, because I just started a new row. I'm knitting on size 0 needles. I'm actually using some Addies that I only have like 2 pairs of zeros, and I've actually worn, I don't know that you guys can see, but I've worn the patina off on a good bit of them, and I've bent them a little bit. So, yeah, right there, the patina is like totally gone. So, but they've lasted a good couple of years. There's been probably 50 pairs of socks knit on these needles. I'm using Knit Picks Felici, and they just put up a whole bunch of new colorways. But I resisted when I ordered some stuff from Knit Picks yesterday. Look at me being good. Mainly because I still have like 10 different colorways to knit. So, this is the dark side colorway. And the first one is done. And where I am on the second one is right here in this black stripe. So I'm going to go to the purple stripe. And on that pattern, the Wendy Johnson heel version, that's where, when I'm done with that stripe, that's when I'll start doing the line of gusset increases that you can see right there. So I have around 1 full stripe repeat, a little over that, left to do, and then these will be ready to wear, which is exciting. I feel like I haven't been knitting a ton of socks. I haven't been knitting on these a ton. They've been kind of like my sit and wait knitting. So when we go out to dinner, if there's a little bit of time, I was on the green stripe, I think, last week. I knit on them then. If I'm waiting in line at the bank or something like that, they get worked on them. I also started working on another pair of socks. These were cranked as a tube on my Speedster sock machine, and I ripped back from this end and re-knit up using size 0s for a cuff, and then I'm doing the same on the opposite end. So I ripped back and I've ripped up, and I'm going to put these stitches back on the needle. I have some Knit Picks Nova Platinas here that I'm going to use. And I don't know where the rest of my sock needles are. I must have a ton of single socks somewhere. So yeah, I'm sure I do. So maybe one of my stash dash goals should be to get some of those socks off the needles.
Or just
so
locate them all.
Yeah, so I can steal them back. Finish those socks. So I'm going to pick up and then knit the toe. And then I'm going to figure out my foot length, where I want the heel to be. Usually the heel takes up an afterthought heel around 2.5 inches. But also I can look at the gauge of what I've knit when I knit the toe.
Mm-hmm.
And a heel is just basically a toe plus a couple rows. So I can kind of figure out there and insert that and figure out how long I want these to be. And then I'll have and then I'll have to do the second thing. And then I'll have some socks. I have no idea what this yarn is. Absolutely none. I think I bought it in 2005. I wound it and then lost the tag to go with it. I have that's what I've been cranking a lot on my sock machine is yarns that I have no idea where the tags are. So to kind of move them, that have been wound since 2005, kind of move them out of the stash a little bit. I think these are actually going to go to my mom because they're very Mama Linneman colors and not very Laura colors. And I think this was originally bought with the intent to make her socks out of it. So
I think it could have turned out much less appealing. It ended up striping.
Yeah, I like the striping on it. We have the cylinder on our sock machine is 72? So I'm going to tighten the tension a little bit. So the tube's a little bit smaller, but these fit pretty well on my feet. My mom's got the same, a little bit smaller, but not too badly. And she loves hand knit socks. These are kind of hand knit socks. They count. For sure. They count for stash dash. For sure. And then the last thing on my needles, I feel like I don't have a lot, but compared to you, I have so much. I'm working on a boxy, a V-neck boxy by Joji Locatelli. I'm using some Yin Yang fingering weight from Loop. This yarn was provided for us to review, and it is amazing. It is 2 plies of a pink and then 1 ply of a very light gray. And so it's got kind of a marled effect when it's knit up. I'll show you guys that.
And its opposite has 2 strands of gray. And
yes, and I kind of want a V-neck boxy out of both. So this part up here is the back. The way that this works is, I'm actually going to put it on, and you can see. So you work the back. They'll sit like this. You work the back, and then you down to where your underarm is, and then you pick up and knit 1 front. See how I did that? And then pick up and knit the other front. I haven't knit the other front. And then you join those together and start knitting in the rounds. I knit the back and I broke the yarn. And then I had Leslie do this measurement here because this is how far and we should have done that ahead of time. And for my size, the 46 is what I'm knitting. This was only 10 inches around, maybe 10 and a half. And I needed a good solid, and it's not joining now because it's on holders and there we go. It's a little bit wonky on the holders, but it'll join. I checked. I needed my sleeve to be a little bit wider. So I added some length there as well. And I might end up adding some vertical bust darts perhaps because I want this to be the same on the front and the back. But I do have my lovely ladies on the front, same length. So they take up a little bit of space that makes my front of my sweaters a little bit shorter than the back of my sweaters. We'll see. The cool thing about the boxy is you can really, really customize it. It's an easy sweater to customize once you get the general idea of what's happening. This is being knit on size 3 needles. I ordered another set of these are on Licka needles. And Licka needles are weird in that they sell their fixed circulars in size 3. And they sell their short tips in size 3, but they don't sell long tips in size 3. I don't know why. They just don't. So I got another fixed circular, a 40-inch fixed circular for the body part because it's going to be around my size with ease is 74 inches around. So I didn't want to try to squish it on a 24-inch needle. It's already going to be pretty squished on the 40. And the short tips are not my favorite to work with. And I got gauge on the fixed circular, so I kind of want to continue using those. Because something like changing your needle tip length can affect your gauge big time. Like when I knit on those little 9-inch circulars that people do socks on, my gauge completely changes from what I'm used to. So I don't want to mess with that. This is living, I'm 1 skein in out of 5, and it's living in my Fat Squirrel Fibers library card bag. So I think that's it for me. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to talk about in regards to the boxy. And I think that's it. But you have some knitting.
Not a lot.
Well, you finished the front. That's a lot.
Yeah, I finished, so I'm knitting on, still don't know how to pronounce this, Isa, by Dawn Catanzaro.
It was made for Quince and
For
Company.
Quince and Company. It was part of their summer Sparrow pattern collection.
And Sparrow is their fingering weight linen?
Yeah, although it looks like on Ravelry it's classified as a sport.
Okay.
Anyway, I am knitting this not in Sparrow. I'm knitting this in Shibui Knits in the rust color. I think it's called rust. Yep.
Yeah, their linen has a different name, though. It's, what, Pebble or something?
Reed. This has been shoved in my bag. The skeins don't normally look like this. I've not been treating it kindly.
That's okay. Linen doesn't like to be treated kindly.
This is where I would normally put in jokes that I'm trying to be more sensitive about. So I'm knitting this all in one color because I couldn't really find an alternate color for this rust that I liked, and you know, it's fine to just be in one color. So I finished the front. It's knit from the bottom up until the V neck, and then you separate and you knit each side, and you put the stitches on waist yarn, and then I'm sure we'll do a 3 needle bind off once the other side is done as well. So I finished the first half. I think last time we recorded I had finished part of one side. And then I'm on the second. I have to get 120 some odd rows, and I'm like 80 something into it. So it's just garter stitch back and forth. But linen is kind of like cotton in that it's kind of hard on your hands because it doesn't have that give that wool does.
Yeah.
Like, you know, when you pull on wool, it's got a sproing to it, like it springs back, and this does not. Like there's no give in it, which is fine for finished garment. It's just not. It's a little rough on my hands.
Something that you need to think about though in your finished garment is when it wears, linen has a lot more drape than wool does.
Yeah. And linen also tends to soften considerably over time with wear.
It does.
So, but it's also, the primary reason that I'm choosing a lot of linen is just for the temperature factor. We live in Mississippi. It doesn't get super cold for very long.
I'm looking to see what the temperature is today.
It's not terrible today.
Oh, it's 80.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
But usually from about May until late September, it's too hot to be outside. Really, the humidity is...
Yeah, that's what I was gonna see, if I can tell what the humidity is on my watch, and I don't think I can on the watch.
Humidity can get really crazy. Let's see, right now it's Only 47%.
That's actually not bad.
Yeah.
Usually it's like 70 to 80%.
Yeah, and frequently in July it's up to 100%. So it's always warm. And then for someone like me who's heavy and has a lot of extra like flab on their body, like I don't need wool. Like my body puts off its own heat.
Well, see, if we were in a dry condition, wool would be perfect because it would cool you. But in a humid condition, wool absorbs the water in the air, and it doesn't. That's why when wool gets wet, it actually gets warm. It's burning off that water, and so it actually makes it warmer. But in a non-humid climate, it doesn't.
It's so. I have pretty much decided against knitting myself any really big sweaters. I probably will still knit some fingering weight, like lighter ones
out of wool
because I can get some wear out of those. But for the most part, I will knit sweaters for people who don't live here and can actually get wear out of them.
Or me.
You can knit your own sweaters. But
you could knit Mama Linneman a sweater. She would like that.
I am knitting Mama Linneman a sweater.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
I haven't worked on it because we got this chart software that we got at Rhinebeck. They had a booth at Rhinebeck, but it's charting software that a lot of the designers use. I can't remember what it's called now, but you can, put in Pearl 3, SKP, whatever, and it'll create a chart for you. And I was going to do that with the lace that I picked out, but my computer's been acting up, so I haven't.
Oh, we could hand chart it for you on paper.
I know. But I haven't used that software.
And we bought it like 7 years ago.
I'd like to use it. So, anyway. That's all that I'm working on. I really should knit. I should cast on something in a wool just to give my hands a break. Yeah. Because lately, when my hands have started hurting, I've just put them down and started, screwing around on the iPad or.
You could start. When we were over at Leslie's trying to record the other night, and total fail, but we were sitting watching Michael mess around with the computer. We picked out, 10 braids for you to spin?
It was 4 pounds.
Okay, so that's more than 10. That's 16 braids for you to spin, so maybe you could go to spinning when your hands get tired from that.
I started last night on some maybe wool gatherings. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, but so you'll have some spinning content.
I got a couple ounces spun last night. I spun them thick, and then I'm going to use this lace weight sparkle and do a spiral plot.
That'll be cool. Yeah. That'll be super cool.
Anyway, that's what I'm working on.
Okay.
You have a finished thing.
I'm wearing it. I'm wearing Passing Showers, which was actually finished last week, but it was wet. Passing Showers is a sweater by Elizabeth Smith.
Why don't you stand up and I'll make sure you get in the shot.
We're on my couch, which is not super conducive to standing. Yeah. So it looks like this. The back has a lace detail on both the top and the bottom. It was knit out of Plucky Sweater. And I think I had 4 or 5 skeins. I didn't have a lot. I had only bought like 1,200 yards. It's an open front cardigan. I didn't really make a ton of mods. I did shorten, so my row gauge was off a little bit. I made it to length, but the pattern actually called for 3 inches of the lace at the bottom. And I stood up, so now Pearl wants pets. So 3 inches of lace at the bottom, but I knew I was going to run out of yarn, so really it's like 2 inches down there, which I think it's a good length for me. I don't think I needed to add much more length. And then the sleeves, I just divided the yarn that I had left and went till I had less than a yard left at the end. So they're a smidge shorter than I would like my sleeves to be like just past the elbow. But for this, they work. It'll be a good air conditioning type, or it's a layer underneath for sure. Especially in the fall here. This was a DK weight yarn. I don't think they make Plucky Sweater anymore. It is the Skies of November colorway. I knit it on size 5 needles. The pattern calls for 6. in regards to sizing on this pattern, I feel like Elizabeth doesn't do a great job of sizing. Let me take a look real fast. Let me go into my notebook. This is actually, if you've been watching us for a while, I have a tab in my library for 2019, and this was a sweater that I added to that tab. So I feel like I'm happy that I'm like getting through that tab of things that I, back in January I said I wanted to knit. Yeah, the largest size on this is 51 and a half. I knit the 46, so I was the third to largest size, the 2X. It's supposed to be worn with 2 inches of positive ease.
And that's included in the measurement.
So really I knit like a 44 for my 46-inch self. I didn't add any ease to my measurement at all. Because with raglan sleeves, I find that if I add, I tend to go with my upper bust measurement, because if I add a lot of extra fabric here for the bust, I know, then I get like flappy underarms. Does that make sense? And these are a little bit, because the raglan, just how the shaping occurs, sometimes you can get a little bit of a flappy underarm. But I tried to do a smaller, like an upper bust measurement, so I wouldn't do that. And it does pretty much come together. I mean, it's supposed to be worn open, so it's not like I have to make it close completely either. And if I did make it in a larger size, I would have totally run out of yarn. So I think it looks good. I'm happy with it, and that's what matters.
We did discover with our local knit group, we meet on Wednesday nights.
Oh.
And whenever anybody finishes anything, they bring
like a sweater, yeah.
And everybody tries it on or oohs and ahs over it.
Yeah.
And we discovered that Laura has the longest torso of anyone in our knit group, because like Eloise tried it on and it went to her knees.
That's true.
Now, Eloise is a shorter woman.
Yeah, how tall do you think Eloise is? She's taller than you, maybe.
No, she's not.
No, she's not. How tall are you?
I'm 5'3". She's probably 5'1" or 5'2".
Okay. And I'm 6 foot,
yeah.
so,
and then Holly tried it on as well.
And it was long on her. And big on her, because she's tiny.
I was more looking at the length than anything else. But it was long on her too, but she did say she had a shorter torso, so.
I, for my underarms, I typically knit 19 inches.
Yeah, that's.
So. But also, I like things to cover, I tend to buy mid-rise jeans, and I like them to cover the waistband of the jean. So when I bend over at work, I'm not having things show that I don't want to have show.
Because she works with children.
Well, I don't like my upper back or my lower back showing regardless. I don't know. I'm weird. It is what it is. We all have our things. So, that is it for me for finished. You have some finished spinning.
Yeah, but you have some too. Why don't you go first?
Oh, okay. I finished spinning 3 items.
To my 1. And really, all I did this week was fly. That's all I did.
It's not a competition, though. Like, I'm off for the summer.
If it were a competition, I would not be winning. It would be me. I would be getting the participant ribbon.
Aww. But I am off for the summer, and I have been making an effort to try to spin. One of my goals for Stash Dash is, for this summer, I really want to spin through 3 sweater lots. And then also of natural colored fleece. So I finished one already. I finished the Corridale that I had already started.
It was around £1, right?
Yeah. And then, so it's not a true sweater lot, but it was a fleece. And now it is out of the stash.
It's out of one bin and into another.
I'm spinning over there. It's the same as what I showed you guys a couple weeks ago. It is 2 pounds of CVM in a soft gray colorway that I got from Peeper Hollow Farm. I'm on the second bobbin of that. I'm filling my bobbins, so I have around 8 ounces spun of that, and I'm going to try to spin on that for the rest of the day, I think. Because I want to get enough for Quidditch. I'm going to 3-ply it, I think. I'm still undecided on that, if I should 2-ply it or 3-ply it. If I 2-ply
do a little
it...
sample of each.
I was thinking that last night. If I 2-ply it, I'm going to get massive yardage, but it's going to be a fingering weight. If I 3-ply it, it's going to be more of a DK weight. And I don't know, there's advantages to both. And there's nothing to say that I have to do everything the same for both, all 2 pounds, like, as well. So that's what's being actively worked on right now. And then what I finished, the beginning of June, I'd spun the singles of Into the World in the vegetable medley. This is a superwash merino. I spun this thick on purpose. I got 120 yards of a 3-ply. I want to use this to knit some baby stuff, either hats or maybe a little sweater. We'll see. 120 yards of a bulky is basically what I got. As I was winding it, my skein winder collapsed on itself, so it's a little bit messy. Leslie brought over some hardware so I could fix it today. So this was spun on the Lendrum upright and plied on the Hanson Mini.
I call this the happiest skein that has ever been spun because it's so round.
It's bouncy, yeah, and round.
It's so perfectly round.
And 3-plies hide a lot of imperfections, which is fun. Like if you want a thicker weight, sometimes 3-ply is the way to go because it does allow you to hide. My thicker weight spins are not as consistent as my thinner spins by far. So 3-plies get to hide that fact a little bit. Yeah, I don't know where that random loop is from. The second thing I spun and plied is from the Knit Spin Farm monthly bat club. This is the Crags and Fords colorway. This was a series of 6 mini bats. So it gradiates. There's also 120 yards. This is also a 3-ply, but this is a chain ply that I did to keep the colors together. So it goes from a light blue to medium blue to dark blue to dark brown to medium brown to a lightish tan. So that has a plan. I'm going to knit a cowl out of this. And I have another backpack that's browns that I'm going to spin from her. A mini skein pack. And I'm going to combine the two. And I'm going to do a 3D Knitwear cowl by Olga. Mm-hmm. That's the plan. Because I've been looking through her stuff a lot because she's coming in and teaching at SSK. And I really like one in specifically. And I want to knit it. This has some sparkle to it. The composition of this was Targhee Cordale for the light colors. The medium were Southdown and Cordale. And then the dark was Shetland and Cordale. And all of it has Angelina and Sari silk in it as well. It's a little bit of sparkle. And it smells like Soak Celebration, which is my favorite celebration scent, or favorite soak scent. And I need to get more because I'm almost out again.
I have to get some from house.
Yeah, when we go. This was her January club. So another goal that I have for Stash Dash is I'm trying to spin up 12 bats and 12 braids over the course of the summer because that is how many... That's like my club fiber for the year. I get 12 bats from Joanna and I get 12 braids from Hello Yarn. So I'm trying to make a dent in that. So,
those are the only fiber clubs you're in?
Well, I rejoined Into the World earlier this week, but I won't get it for another week. Yep. I'm in Knit Spin Farm Sock Club as well, but those are the clubs that I'm in. So I have 1 bat and 1 braid out here. And then I have 2 bats that I spun, also Knit Spin Farm, and then plied together. So there was a turquoise one that was Turquoise Tranquility. Is that a fiber club? Let's see. It was not. Both of these were purchased. And then a lighter blue that had some hints of pink that was Glacier Lake. So I spun both of these on my Chartreuse long draw. The other two were spun woolen. And applied them together on the Hanson. It's had its bath. It's a very squishy and yummy. Together, I just, she used to put tags around her bats.
Mm-hmm.
She might still if they're not bat clubs. She doesn't for the bat clubs. The Glacial Lake was 3.5 ounces. And the Turquoise Tranquility was 3.25, so very similar. Angelina was in one, Blueface Luster, Corriedale, Silk, and Targhee. And the other was Blueface Luster, Corriedale, Falkland, Polwarth, Silk, and Surrey Silk. It is a total of 346 yards of a 2-ply. So I don't have plans for this yet. It might be like a long, loopy cowl. Or the other thing that I might do with it is Andrea Mowry has that shift pattern. I like the cowl, although the shawl is very pretty as well, and she's got a sweater and a hat using it. I might use this as one of the colors for the cowl and then have the other colors shift through. So we'll have to see. Lots of hand spun. So these were 2 bats. So I'm down a total of 3 bats and 1 braid in 2 weeks. That's not too bad. I'm going to pick up the pace a little bit. I'm off for the summer. And I'm catching up on like children audiobook listening. So it all works out in regular audiobook listening. My Audible is like super happy right now because it's like you've been listening to us, not just hoarding credits. Yay! But you have some spinning.
I forget that I get this way every summer. I get annoyed at how much more Laura can do than I can. Yeah, I have some spinning. So I finished the
That's gorgeous.
spinning of the singles last week. This is from Elizabeth at Spotted Circus, who also has a podcast. I think it's called the Farm Circus.
Fiber Circus.
Fiber Circus, there you go. And this is stained glass and merino. It's just merino and Firestar.
Yep, Firestar gives it that gorgeous glint.
I got 287 yards. This was spun and plied on the Daedalus Starling. Which I love. If you're coming to SSK, you will be able to play with them. Play with one in the tasting room.
But also they'll have them for sale.
Yes. It's a husband and wife. The husband makes the wheels. The wife dyes for Spotted U. She is Spotted U fibers. But yeah, I'm happy with it. This was
really pretty.
The only fiber I got from SSK last year. And it's spun, so...
Oh, your SSK stash is almost used up from last year,
yeah,
right?
The only thing that left that I haven't made anything out of is the Babs kit, the 5-color pack that I'm doing the Mesa wrap out of. It's not done, so it's still part of the stash. But aside from that...
you're working on it.
And there are a couple of minis that I got from Steve as well.
Lady Man Fiber Arts.
Yes. But that's it. That's all of my SSK stash from last year. So I'm happy about that. I did get some spinning done last night. I'm spinning thick. I can't remember who the dyer was. It might be Gail's art. I can't remember. Yeah, it was because it's Tattoo Lady.
Okay.
Is the color of the fiber.
What glitter are you going to...
I don't know. We ordered a while back from this company that was recommended to us by Amanda, Windsong Farm. Amanda Studdard, who has the wombats.
Yes, you should follow her on Instagram if you don't. She rescues...
It's Windsong Farm. All one word, no underscores or anything. But yeah, she always posts cute videos of like baby wombats and
kangaroos.
Yeah, joeys, and they do like a rescue there in Australia. And anyway, she recommended this place called Darling.
It's Dairing.
Okay. And they have a lot of really interesting, weird yarns. Like they carry some of the Habu like papery ones.
Yeah, on cones.
Yes, but they also had some interesting like sparkle and like lurex, different threads that you could use for
Fine.
yeah, for like spiral plying, or they had some options for core spinning. We didn't really get any of those, but I haven't actually used any of them yet. They're just sitting in my living room in my like ottoman that hides all the things. So I will spiral ply probably all of that. I got half of it spun yesterday.
Yay! See, you're getting stuff done.
Yeah. The Starling makes it easy because it's so quiet and it's so light, and I can just.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, that makes total sense.
That's pretty much it. Let's see. I've been listening to. I haven't really been reading a ton. I've been listening to Dead Moon, which is by Peter Clines. I didn't realize he had a new book out. It's been out for like 4 months apparently. This is the guy that wrote 14 and The Fold, both of which I've listened to or read several times. 14,
yeah, you like
I've
them
probably
a lot.
listened to half a dozen times because I enjoy it. And they're sort of modern day with a touch of sci-fi thrown in. And they're read by Ray Porter, who is a friggin' awesome narrator. But Dead Moon is the third in the series, and they're only kind of loosely connected. And it's sci-fi, I would say. It's set a couple hundred years in the future, and apparently we bury people on the moon. It's never really been explained why. Maybe there's just not a lot of space on Earth, but it would seem like the trip to the moon would be cost prohibitive. But anyway, they bury people on the moon, and the moon gets hit with a meteor and bad things happen. So I've still got a couple hours left in the book. It's really good. I'm not a huge fan of the genre, like, it creates zombies, this meteor. I'm not giving away.
I read a zombie book too!
And I'm not a huge fan of that particular genre.
I'm not either!
But I like the author, so I'm willing to.
I had a zombie dragon this week!
Oh, wow. That was, so you were Game of Thrones. You were,
I was not Game of Thrones. I was
they had
Patricia
zombie
Briggs,
dragon.
but apparently zombie dragons are a baby zombie dragon, which was very sad.
Aww.
Were you done talking? I'm sorry, I interrupted your zombies. I read Storm Cursed by Patricia Briggs. I listened to it, actually. I really like the reader of those books. It's the same who does the Janet Ivanovich books, Lorelei Gilman. And she also does, I think, some of the Alana Andrews. Anyway, she's a wonderful reader. And this is the latest one that came out maybe 2 months ago, maybe a month and a half ago. And Mercy Thompson is married to, she's a coyote shifter. And she is married to the alpha of the Columbia Basin Werewolf Pack. And this kind of references her other Alpha and Omega series a little bit, which had some issue with some witches in the past book. And those same witches, who are from Tennessee, are up to no good in the Tri-Cities, and there are zombies. There are zombie mini, like, fainting goats at one point. And there's some other things. So it gets a little bit into, like, what is the difference between witches, and one thing that I like about Patricia Briggs is that she has no issues killing off main characters. That is a little bit of a spoiler, so I'm not going to tell you who, though. So it was an enjoyable one. I can't wait for the next. I'm kind of sad. This was like, I went back before this, if you're new to the podcast, and re-listened to the last 2 prior to this. So now I'm kind of out of Mercy Thompson books. And the reader for Alpha and Omega series I don't like as well. So I haven't decided if I'm going to go back, and I stalled out on Alana Andrews' series on the book where they go over to Europe.
Just skip it.
So I might reread it
Yeah.
and skip listening to it, because I can read it in a night, but listening is like 15 hours, so I might do that. Also listening to, I need to start alternating with some middle grade stuff to get some middle grade listens in over the summer. I had started a couple months back Small Spaces by Catherine Arden. Catherine Arden also writes adult books. She wrote like The Bear and the Nightingale, I think. But she is now a middle grade horror author. And this book takes place with a little girl who's a little bit of an outcast, and she sees a woman throw a book into a river, and she rescues it. And bad things happen as a result of her finding this book. So I'm not very far in, and it's not a very long listen. It's like a 6-hour listen, and I'm around an hour in. So I'm excited to finish that, because the second one on the series comes out in August. But also, this is one that I think will be appropriate for me to book talk at the moment. It definitely is. The main character is a 6th grader, all 3 grades at my school. So I'm trying to read a little bit more things that are suitable for all 3 grades that I could book talk. That's one of my goals for, well, just reading more over the summer. Reading more middle grade is definitely one of my goals. So that is what I am reading. The next event that we will be going to will be SSK. Super excited about that. Lots for us to do behind the scenes, but it's so much fun. Stash Dash is also going on. It goes on until August 24th. I have around 1,000 yards done for Stash Dash, I would say. So, making a little bit of progress there. Maybe a little bit more.
Doesn't your sweater count?
Oh yeah, my sweater totally counts. I have like 3,000 yards done for Stash Dash. Because I finished, I forgot all the spinning that I had done earlier. I think I'm good. I think I'm at like 3K. I'll have to total. I tend to, the Stash Dash rule for spinning is you get to, like with a 2-ply, you would get to count it 3 times. But I tend to count mine twice. So this is 700 yards here. Like, I tend to just count the single yardage because that's what I have to do for house cop, and too many different things drive me nuts. So there's over 1,000 sitting right beside me. So that's pretty good. And then this was like 12 to 1,300 yards. I'll have to look. And yeah.
I just wait until the end and figure out where I fit, and then I'm like, that's what I'm meant to do.
Well, yeah. I try to do a total every week. Like on Sundays would be my totaling days, but I haven't been doing that this year. I do have a bullet journal, and I track everything in that, including like skeins coming in versus skeins going out. Because I'm trying to create more of a balance of my stash where, you know, I'm putting out the same number that's coming in. I'm trying to hold it steady this year.
Good luck.
Versus growing a lot. Maryland Sheep and Wool kind of mess. And so I was steady until May, and then we went to Maryland and Stitches United. And that kind of got me off track a little bit. But I'm not purchasing again until really SSK. So, yeah, we'll see. We will see. Lots to do this summer. Lots of lofty goals this summer. So Stash Dash is going on until August 24th, and then we have a Patreon fail along coming up on the 23rd. Both of our Patreon events this month are going to be on Sunday. We were originally planning for next Saturday, but I have a funeral to attend, so I won't be able to do it next Saturday. So it's going to be on the 23rd will be the fail along, and the VKN is always on the last Sunday, which will be the 30th, and both will be at 3 p.m. Central Time. Because we found that works best for the West Coast people. It's not ideal for people like Amy Florence that are 6 hours off, but it's still 9 o'clock there, so it's not terrible.
And it works for the largest number of people.
It seems like it does.
And those events are open to anyone who supports us on Patreon. Depending on your level, you can read all about that on our Patreon page,
which is linked on our website, TheKnitGirllswith3ls.com. It's in the upper right-hand corner.
And when I put up the show notes, I'll include links to register for each of the Fail Along and the VKN, which will be the last Sunday of the month. You can click them and register, and that way it'll remind you, like 15 minutes before, it'll send you an email and say, hey, don't forget.
Cool.
You can sign up that way. Also, it works best on Chrome. For anyone who's a Mac user and tends to revert to Safari as a default, this works better on Chrome.
Safari is always my default. So Leslie had to download Chrome on my computer.
I hate using Safari, but, whatever. It's personal taste, so.
It is.
I think that's it.
Yeah. We have the new Mason Dixon gifted us their new
did they?
book, so I will pass that along to you to review. It's all socks this time, so that's pretty cool.
That is cool.
They're little, what do they
Field
call
guides.
Field guides, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
It came out today, this morning. So yeah, I think that's it. We will talk to you all next week.
Yep, computer willing.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.